Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BikeSocial. I'm Michael and you join me here at Triumph's HQ in Hinckley, Leicestershire. Why? Well, we've got some bikes to introduce to you. The 2022 Tiger 1200 range. It's the new family. It's an impressive setup here, an impressive model lineup. There are 5 bikes in the range. We're going to get to hear all about the different details between the more road-focused GT range and the more off-road bias or the all-terrain bias rally range. We're going to talk a bit about the spec, and we've got a gentleman called Stuart Wood, who's the chief engineer here at Triumph, to talk about them with us. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for inviting us down to see your new babies, a family of babies. Not so much baby-like though, are they? They're enormous. It's quite an imposing setup here. Do you want to talk, first of all, introduce the model lineup? So there's 5 bikes, aren't there? 4 here and then there's another one as well. But over to you really. You've got 2 clearly, the road-focused and then the all-terrain versions. But
yeah, well, we've got the 2 sides to the range. We've got the GT and the Rally. The GT being the more road-focused and touring orientated, the Rally being giving more off-road capability. They're all off-road capable, and they're obviously all really good for touring, but you do get that emphasis across the range, so you've got choice. So we start with the GT, which is our entry model. We've got here the GT Pro, which adds a load more spec, and the GT Explorer, which includes more spec and a 30-litre tank.
So you're bringing back the Explorer name as well. That's quite an icon, isn't it, of the Tiger range's history?
It is, and it says what the bike will do. It is all about getting that distance in, doing some miles, and really enjoying the bike in sort of all conditions. So a proper exploring bike.
So the Explorers are on the end.
Yep, that's correct.
And then the Pro versions are in the middle. So GT
right.
and Rally. We
got 2 tank sizes. So the Rally Pro, the GT and the GT Pro have the 20-litre tank, and then you have 1.5 times that capacity and therefore 1.5 times the range with the 30-litre tank on the 2 Explorer models.
And you can tell a difference, I'm sure you can tell a difference as well from where you're sitting, but in terms of the size of the bike. Although it doesn't seem top heavy or too imposing, does it actually? It seems to be quite well structured.
No.
You must have faced so many engineering challenges when putting these things together. How long's the project been on the go for, Stuart?
Well, overall, just over 4 years. It's a huge commitment, this project. Yeah. It's a huge focus from the whole business, from design, manufacturing, and the rest of the business. The increase in performance, the reduction in mass, the focus on rider ergonomics and comfort, were all there from the start. And it's a completely new bike, new engine, new chassis, new riding position. It is a big change from the outgoing model.
And it's a new engine.
1160cc triple with a T-plane crank. So that adds more character, that adds more tractability at the low end. It gives you that feel of a twin lowdown, especially when you're off-road. It's really engaging, really encourages you to use all that torque. And then at the top end, you've got the smoothness of the triple and that extra power as well. So we're now 150 PS at 9,000 RPM and 130 Newton meters at 7,000 RPM.
Gosh, there's some big performance figures.
Absolutely.
Mega that. And it's the same, it's the identical engine all the way across the range.
That's correct,
and identical, therefore, performance.
Yep.
Now, a 1200cc off-road bike that's shaft-driven, there must have been one eye on a certain German manufacturer who makes a very similar motorcycle. Was that is that what you're pitching this bike at or above?
Okay, there's clearly a large part of the market that will only buy a shaft drive. Okay, that's a critical part.
Yeah.
The outgoing model was shaft drive. We understood that, but we've gone even further now with the new range and made that even lighter, better packaged, narrower. Everything's to do with performance, mass reduction to make the ride better, to make the bike lighter, to make the bike more compact, make it feel easier to ride.
Stuart, I know there are 5 bikes in the range, and I'm going to challenge your knowledge of the tech specifications on all 5 here by asking you about the sort of the weight differences between all 5 of them, and perhaps how it compares with that competitor.
Well, we've had a huge focus on mass reduction. So compared to the outgoing model, 25 kilogram mass reduction. That's a huge difference. And you feel that everything from picking the bike off the stand to manoeuvring it to riding on and off-road. Now, compared to our competitor, we have shaft drive, so all that mass includes shaft drive as well. And when you compare like for like on specification, with our focus on mass reduction, the higher specification you go to, the more mass reduction there is, okay? Or the bigger mass difference there is to our direct competitor.
Right.
So when you take the Rally Explorer, you're looking at 17 kilograms less. So
Like for like spec?
Like for
Wow.
like spec.
And 17 kilos, that's a lot, isn't it?
But with more power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're
150.
now at 150 PS,
Yeah.
and we've got 130 newton meters of torque as well.
Gosh. So 25 kilos, that's a lot, isn't it? I mean, that's your big bag that you go on holiday with, isn't it?
Yeah,
At
absolutely.
least, when you're struggling to get out on the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Good Lord. And what about seat heights? Because that's going to be a question, isn't it, in terms when you're looking at adventure bikes or adventure style bikes, people are going to want to access it very, very well. I'm standing here, not from where you're sitting, but looking at how narrow this is for a bike of this ilk.
Absolutely, it's not just the number. The seat height number is competitive,
Yes.
but it's the narrowness.
How
As
it's all
I said early
packaged.
on, the focus has been on ergonomics, making that narrow, making it very easy to manage. So the seat width and the tank width as well. So we've got an 850 millimeter seat height that you can raise to 870 mil.
That's here, that's this
Yep.
one, isn't it? Is this on low or high at the moment? do you
That'll
know?
be on high. If you want, there's also an accessory seat as well, which is lower by 20 millimeters.
Right.
So you can reduce it to 830. Now, with that narrow standover, you have to judge it by sitting on the bike. It really does feel very accessible.
Is that an invitation? Shall I?
Go, please do.
While you carry on, I shall take a seat.
We've also, within that seat height,
Oh, yeah.
we've added 20 millimeters more foam as well compared to the outgoing Tiger 1200.
Gosh, it's very, very easy. I'm 6 foot, by the way, for reference, and I've got long legs. And that's very easy to flat foot and to...
And you can feel that mass reduction as well.
Yeah, it's nice. Handlebar position is very, very handy. It's very convenient for, you know, having the control of the bike. I can only imagine when we get to ride it, I'll let you know.
In terms of the riding as well, the ergonomics, we've moved the rider forward on the bike compared to the front contact patch and the steering axis. So that gives you a lot more control when you're riding off-road. You're more directly over the front wheel. You feel that control. It really does make a big difference.
Did we get to the seat heights on the Explorers?
Okay, well you're at 875, 895. That's the adjustment range. But of course you can reduce that by the 20 millimeters as well with the accessory
With
seat.
the accessory seat,
Yeah.
right. And are they very easy to adjust?
Yeah, the seat comes off, there's a bar, you remove the bar, clip it in the other position,
Easy peasy.
move the seat.
And what about the other sort of rider ergonomics? It's so narrow, isn't it? I can't get over how
It is. It actually measures at 10 millimeters narrower at the foot pegs, but the foot pegs are lower by 25 millimeters and they're actually rearwards by 28.5 mil. Now, you've got more seat space, so that makes a lot of sense. Now, on the Rally, you've got the wider bars again, but the handlebars are slightly higher than the previous generation. And then when you get to the Explorer models, they're higher again and 10 millimeters closer to you. So there's a difference in all the bikes and they all fit with the rest of the ergonomics and the way you want to ride the bike.
So in terms of other rider aids, rider ergonomics, for the position that the rider is being sat in, the instrument panel, the bars and the switches are familiar with Tigers, well, with Triumphs from the last few generations or few years. So that's a nice familiar setup and layout. So it's not like you've got to learn something new if you're coming from a different Triumph. But what is new is the screen. It appears to be bigger, and you've got some wires sticking out of the top of these suspension legs.
Absolutely. We're 7-inch TFT instruments, all new. Now that all works with, as you pointed, the wires there. We've got semi-active suspension on all models. Okay, so that's front and rear semi-active, show a suspension. Now what that does is allows you to select the comfort and control level that you want from the suspension while you're riding. Okay, so you can select that. using the switch cube, the joystick on the switch cube, and it's all referenced on the TFT instruments. We've got specific setups for on-road and off-road. So you can select a different setup to suit the riding conditions.
Mm-hmm. Stuart, in terms of rider modes, are they going to be familiar and fairly easy to work out for the riders?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got rain, road, sport, rider configurable, and off-road. Oh. They're very, very easy to select. Within each of those modes, you've got throttle map, ABS, traction control, and suspension settings preset to suit the ride, but you can adjust those further if you want to tailor it to your own preference.
And then do you then get extra off-road bias modes or mode for the rally bikes?
Yeah, there's an off-road pro mode as well on both the Rally Pro and the Rally Explorer.
And that affects all of the suspension settings according to where you're going to take it?
That's correct. But it also switches off completely the ABS and traction control to allow you full control off-road.
Right. Speaking of ABS and traction control, do the bikes have 6-axis IMU? Do they have cornering capability, cornering electronics?
Yeah, they have cornering optimized ABS and traction control, but we also use the IMU in the suspension control as well, because then that will sense pitch. It'll sense whether the bike, it's basically a skyhook system.
Right.
So it's all about controlling body motion of the bike to give you the best comfort and the best control at the wheel. But it will also sense, for instance, heavy braking, or even when you're jumping the bike. So it'll adjust the suspension for the landing from a jump, for instance.
Oh, very clever.
Yeah.
So while you're sitting fairly flat, the suspension and the wheels are doing all this below you, and you're sitting fairly comfortable up there,
That's
not
absolutely right.
jolting around.
Yep.
Oh, lovely. I like the khaki colour. Is it only available in the rally?
Yeah, all the bikes are available in Snowdonia white. That's including the GT. In addition, the rallies get sapphire black and this lucerne blue that you can see, and the rallies get sapphire black and this matte khaki, which is fantastic. That's a colour that we've used on the Tiger 900. It came originally from our Tramontana concept bike that we showed, and it's really well received. And obviously with the khaki, matte khaki, you get the white frame as well.
It does stand out, doesn't it? It looks really nice. It's got to be. It's definitely my favourite. I want to swing a leg over this one now. Stuart, these are fantastically well put together. There's lots of little parts and you know, Triumph's known for its build quality and attention to detail, but when you've got sort of little air scoops here and twin radiators, and you must have spent so much time making, I use the word compromise, but that's not quite fair, is it? But you've had a lot to think about in terms of engine position and build and fitting the frame, making sure that the centre stand and the silencer and the exhaust run and all of those things kind of come together in a package. No wonder it's taken 4 years.
Well, it's optimization. It's not compromise. We know what we want to achieve. We know what we want to achieve for riders. Okay, so it's basically making decisions that give positive outcomes in lots of ways. So for instance, you mentioned the radiators. We've got a twin radiator setup. The twin radiators are better protected, so from stones. They allow us to package the engine slightly further forward for mass distribution, helps with the handling. It also helps with the packaging to allow us to move the rider further forward for comfort and control. Okay, and it also helps us to direct the hot air away from the rider for more comfort. Wow. So just one example there are multiple benefits, and again, they're all considered from day one, and they're all packaged into the bike basically for optimization.
I'll just briefly touch on the fact that things that I can see here as well. So you've got heated grips, you've got cruise control, and you've got, I assume this is one-hand operated screen there as well. There's not a lot that you haven't thought about with the rider in mind, have you?
No, it's very, very complete. It's a very full spec. Say it starts with shaft drive, and again, there's a number of people that just wouldn't consider an adventure bike without shaft drive. But even including the shaft drive, we've driven the mass down. That's been a really, really big focus. In terms of features and specification, basically, it's all about the ride.
A lot of people talk about shaft drive when we're looking at these type of bikes, but they also talk about centre stands. Is there a centre stand available on all 5?
Okay, All these 4 models that you see have got centre stands as standard, and on the GT it can be fitted as an accessory.
And is there anything else on the bikes that would sort of it help it kind of boost it up the league in against its rivals?
We've also got the Triumph blind spot radar system on the 2 Explorer models. Now that's got a rear-facing radar that watches out for vehicles behind you and in your blind spot. So if there is a car or a bike in your blind spot, the light on your mirror will illuminate to show it's there. If you indicate to pull out and there's a vehicle there or a vehicle approaching, it'll flash to give you a more definite warning.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cool. I see the difference in the mirrors between the 2 bikes. I guess the all-important question then, sir, is the price of the 5 bikes.
Okay, the price ranges from £14,600 for the GT model to £19,100 for the fully loaded Rally Explorer model.
And it's got a lot of tech on there already. And of course, I expect you'll have plenty of accessories available for the bikes as well.
We do. We've got 2 full luggage systems. So we've got the Trekker with moulded boxes, and we've got the Expedition with the aluminium boxes that are both bright or brushed aluminium or black aluminium. So there's a nice range of luggage there. The Trekker luggage also includes 52-litre twin helmet top box. So if that's something you particularly want, that's available.
You can really go around the world. You can do your exploring. And there's plenty of space for a Pillion, isn't there? I can see the Pillion seat is nice and wide and deep, and it's tall enough to see, so you're not clashing helmets too much. So you obviously thought about that as well.
Pillion comfort is as important as rider comfort on these bikes. And with that in mind, we've got an accessory heated seat for the Pillion, which is independently adjustable by the Pillion.
So the Pillion heated seats is an option, but it's the heated seats for the rider standard?
So on the Explorer models, the heated seats are standard. On the Pro models and on the GT, they're accessory.
Stuart, we looked earlier on about the white frame against the grey frame. All the bikes have got the same new frame, new subframe, new swinging arm, is that right?
Yeah.
It's all new, right?
Again, completely new motorbike, completely repackaged. But in addition to the repackaging, we're taking the opportunity to reduce mass. Now, the front of the frame is tubular steel. You then come down to forged aluminium outriggers, and at the back we've got a fabricated tubular aluminium rear subframe. Okay, so that's bolt-on. Having the bolt-on subframe gives us the opportunity to use steel at the front and aluminium at the back to reduce mass, but also if you are seriously off-roading and you did have an incident, obviously it is replaceable.
Doesn't become a write-off, yeah.
When we get to the swinging arm, again, completely new, and a new idea, which was previously single-sided swinging arm. Now we have a twin-sided swinging arm. Again, all focused at reducing mass and also giving us the geometry we want to make this bike handle well on road and off-road.
Got you. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it does. It's a fairly obvious looking thing, isn't it, as well? Fab. When are they available? When can customers get hold of them?
Okay, well, they're available in the spring globally. In the UK, they'll be available from April.
April. There you are. Stuart, thank you so much for inviting us down, letting us have a little prod and a play and a sit and a squirm, and also for remembering all of those details as well. Incredible stuff. Good. Right, there you are. You've got your date in the calendar for when you can have a go on one of these, or all 4 of them, or 5 of them even. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've learnt enough. If you've got any comments, questions, thoughts, opinions, let us know in the details in the comments section below, and I'll try my hardest to answer, but if not, I'm sure Stuart will help me out. Thanks again. See you next time.